exactitude that arrived without deviation at the chosen destination. The first target is Warham Camp near the North Norfolk coast, whose nearest neighbour is Holcombe Camp, some 8 kilometres distant to the northwest, while there is no prehistoric site at all on its eastern side. Yet time and again we can triangulate into its ramparts from great distance, resulting in the most artistic design we see here, formed of adjacent triangulated darts and kites, as I term them, that cover all of eastern England. Again, the matching distances are all made clear on the chart when viewed at larger scale, confirming absolutely the isosceles conformation of all the designs displayed in this filmlet. Moving on, we find 2 stations, Berrybank in Staffordshire, as remote as Warham previously, coupled with Carn Pentrich on the distant North Wales Peninsula, to give us this pleasing arrangement of kites and darts to cover most of the south of England in one broad sweep. Returning to the contentious point of high-density site arrangement making patterning easy to achieve, I would draw your attention to E14 Tournabury Camp down on the bottom Hampshire coast, or B36 Griffin Point on the Cornish coast to the left, and J33 to the north, Carn Pentrich in far North Wales, each being what could only be described as isolated, yet comfortably targeted by the ancient geniuses. I feel it should be possible to rest my case here, but if there are any lingering doubts, I would like to think that what follows will dispel them entirely. Such is the scope and precision of the combination of exact alignment, isosceles triangulation, and equidistant spacing, combined with a pair of outriders covering, in all, almost 500 kilometres or 300 miles, crossing the whole of southern England, and yet still managing to pierce Silbury Hill. It's one to savour. Suffolk to the Scilly Isles, with Tump Covert in Gloucestershire, and Old Sarum in Wiltshire holding the reins, and paired distances so close as to be inseparable. By the very simplicity of this diagram, the geometric properties that I claim were in common usage by our elders come sharply into focus for us to consider their exceptional ability. Was there a single, unified, cohesive package that embodied all that has gone before and perhaps formed the basis of a communications network? I believe there was, and the version I offer is constructed solely by the isosceles triangle to cover the entire review area of southern Britain. It consists of a series of spirals emanating from Silbury Hill that combines initially with the Marlborough Mound and Barbary Castle, from which spring an ever-expanding adjacent isosceles sequence, both clockwise and counterclockwise, always trained inwards to existing sites, to reach the farthest flung prehistoric corners of these islands. The research is confined to the area shown due to the printing limitations, but it's my opinion that the geometric methods employed enable the surveyors comfortably to reach Ireland, the north of England and Scotland, as well as the Channel Isles and France. St. Michael's Mount fits comfortably into our scheme, and it is but a short step to Mont Saint-Michel in France, while there are long barrows on the Channel Isles, in Holland and in Germany. Silbury Hill could well have been the hub of a network spiralling outwards across northern Europe. What was the purpose of all this vast civil engineering work that combined hill settlements, long barrows, mounded tumuli, cairns, standing stones, and stone circles? As suggested earlier, the encampments were prominent sanctuaries for a mixed population, while the long barrows were rest houses for transients or construction teams. The mounds in the softer lowlands, cairns and stones in the more rugged high country acted as waymarks to signpost the routes between the permanent shelters and the safe settlements. Triangulation ensured that the connections between sites were of a straight line nature, or what might be described as line of sight. although this is unlikely in view of the vast distances involved. It is thus not inconceivable that routes between the prehistoric units followed the straight pattern that has become associated with the much later Roman invader. In fact, the Roman sections were an amalgam of many short straight tracks that often took them in a rather circuitous route towards their destination, inferring that they made use of and probably resurfaced any ancient British section that suited them. What this chart indicates is that all sections of trackways attributed to Rome do in fact align exactly to much older British antiquities, demonstrating that many of today's main roads owe their origins to the ancient pioneers. Evidence to support this is provided by the Romans adopting many British settlements for their military garrisons, such as Wimbledon, East Hampstead, Silchester and Badbury Rings, while the Normans, later still, took over many with prominent mounds, as at Marlborough, to be relabelled as mottes and surrounded by fortified defences. There are numerous lengths of modern roads with no apparent association with historic invasion at all, leaving us with a quite separate reminder of what went before. A case in point is 4 Marks High Street in Hampshire, that is lined upon Powderham Motte at one end and Hinton Ampner Tumulus at the other. All the work on this chart has been checked by most careful calculation and found to home in faultlessly on ancient high-level constructions, often prominently sited tumuli in southern England with clear viewing over considerable distance in what would have been a clearer, unpolluted atmosphere than we have today. There is something reassuring in realizing that as we tread such straight tracks today, we're acknowledging the geometric capability of distant ancestors. What you have seen here is but a small, albeit essential part of the data and propositions I could put forward to advance the case for a superior intelligence having existed in these islands, but this must suffice for now. Most of it I have known for a quarter of a century, but have been unable to win acceptance or find anyone in position of authority to show interest. Should you acquire this recording, you will have joined a small, elite, open-minded body, for which I thank you, and I wish you well.